Hello everyone, Rurikhan here coming at you with an interview from E3 2013. This interview was made possible exclusively due to the fact that the game station allowed me to follow one of their camera crews around the show floor, thus granting me access to a lot of exclusive content that I would not have been able to obtain otherwise. And not only that, but they also gave me the footage that their film crews shot on site so that I would have the best possible quality of footage to upload onto my channel. Today's interview is about The Elder Scrolls Online from Bethesda.
Sure. My name is Nick Conkle. I'm the lead gameplay designer. There's 4 classes that you can choose from when you start the game, but a class in this game is not really like a class in most other games where it completely determines what you become. It's more like a starting point. So it'll give you 3 unique skills for your sort of initial character, but on top of those skills you have everything you can learn from all the weapons, everything you can learn from the armor, Mage's Guild, Fighter's Guild, Werewolf, Vampire, Alliance skills. Basically, there's of the 20 plus skills you'll have on an end level character, 3 of them will be determined from your class. So it's not so much a class-based system as this is just something you can use to give yourself a little unique flair and also a good place to start from. There's 9 races, 3 for each of the different factions, all the ones that you know and love from the Elder Scrolls franchise. Well, each race has a skill line, which is unique to it. So it has a gameplay mechanic difference. Every single one of them has that. They obviously look very different, and people will react to you differently in different scenarios depending on what race you've chosen. So it has more than just a cosmetic feel in the game. Like I said, everything is more or less determined by what skills you're advancing. So for example, if I choose to use a bunch of abilities that are associated with one of my 3 class skills, that skill will advance very quickly, and that will unlock stronger spells, new spells, passive abilities that are powerful and supplement that style of gameplay. Or alternatively, I could just pick up a 2-handed weapon and start using that, and my 2-handed weapon skill will start improving, and I can take abilities like cleave or charges that will match that. So it isn't so much advancing the class that is the relevant thing, it's advancing the skills. And you have a whole ton of skills that you can advance, and you can't do them all at the same time. You can, every single weapon, you can theoretically advance all the way to max, get every skill associated with it, and you could do that for all the class abilities, all the weapon abilities, there is enough stuff out there. You'd have to play a very, very long time. If you just hit level 50, which is sort of the character level cap, you would have maybe 20 to 30% of your skills maxed out. So there's a whole lot of play beyond just the leveling your character game there. So you learn spells in the game in a variety of different ways. Like I said before, you can start with certain ones because of the class that you chose. But there's also different venues to learn them from all over the world. So for example, I can go join the Mage's Guild, and that'll give me a skill that's specific to the Mage's Guild, where as I advance through the guild, I can learn their spells and their abilities that I can then choose to advance and utilize however I want to. Similarly, I could join the Fighters Guild and learn like fighting techniques in that way. And then there's a variety of other guilds and other types of situations where you can learn new skills and advance them in addition to what you just naturally start with, which is your class, your weapon, and your armor, and your race. All right, so what's unique about crafting in the Elder Scrolls is that it's very exploration based. So you'll notice as you're playing through the game, you can pick up anything off of a counter in town, or you can kill a rat and loot that, or you can find stuff out in the world, and everything has hidden properties, multiple hidden properties. And the game itself is sort of about finding what combination of ingredients and unlocking the hidden properties of those ingredients to make unique things that are good for you. And it isn't just you start with a recipe and then this always makes that and you're just trying to find the ingredients that fill the recipe. It's very much well, I have these things, what should I try to make with it? And as you've learned more and more of the ingredients and what their properties are, you'll become better at this because you'll just know. But of course, as you keep advancing, you'll find more and more ingredients and more things to learn. My favorite feature changes all the time, to be perfectly honest. At times it's been very much playing the PvP and participating in the super large scale battles, but The one that's pretty near and dear to my heart right now, because we spent a lot of effort working on it over the last months, is the first-person mode. I'm the sort of gamer who will be able to play whatever style. I don't really actually have a preference, but after we had implemented the first-person mode, it just is now my favorite way to play. It's so immersive, it feels so right for the IP and for the franchise, and so much like playing an online RPG and not, something that is a more traditional MMO that I had gotten used to in different areas. So I think that was the one that really shifted it to, man, this just feels like a world that I'm living in, and I think that's probably why it's my favorite.
Go ahead.
My name is Maria Alaprando. I'm the creature combat designer for the Elder Scrolls Online. There's a lot of monsters that if you've played previous Elder Scrolls games, you're going to be pretty familiar with them. We have a lot of Daedra coming back because our main plot is Bal, the Daedric prince of basically most things bad, has decided to rip Tamriel apart by bringing it into Cold Harbor. So he's had his whole host of Daedra come down. You might be familiar with Spider Daedra from Oblivion. We also have Clanfear and Daedros. We also have a couple new Daedra that are, if you go to ElderScrollsOnline.com, you'll be able to find some concept for one of our Daedric Titans. And it's a giant mammoth Daedra that's in charge of taking care of all the souls that Bal has stolen. There's another type of Daedra that is revealed in our gameplay trailer this week, that is the Harvester. And the Harvester is in charge of stealing all the souls from Bal. So while the Harvester goes and takes all the souls and traps them in Cold Harbor, it's the Daedric Titan which is the gatekeeper to all of these souls. So there's a bunch of new different types of monsters, and the way that we break up monsters is depending on how threatening they are is whether or not you'll be fighting a bunch of little ones. So for example, we have zombies, and we can have zombie swarms where a bunch of zombies will be attacking you all at the same time and vomiting on you and all sorts of good things. And then we have things like the Giant that you might be familiar with from Skyrim, where it's a big, heavy, solo type of fight. We also have a new interesting monster, which if you're familiar with the Spriggans from Skyrim, we have a new monster called the Lurcher, and it's kind of like a corrupted version of the Spriggan. So while the Spriggan was a very forensic kind of guerrilla warfare fight, the Lurcher is much more of a brutish type fight. Well, there's hundreds of monsters in Elder Scrolls Skyrim. We also have lots of monsters which are humanoid type monsters, which kind of reflect upon what the player is able to do. So the players have a gameplay ability called Synergy. And what Synergy is, for example, you could put down an area of lightning on the ground and I could go into it and act as a conduit of lightning and shock everybody around me. Well, the enemies can use these same type of strategies against you. So one enemy might put down an area of oil, which by itself snares you and is pretty difficult to get out of it. But another monster, perhaps a monster that is able to use destruction magic, can light it on fire, and all of a sudden that oil is turning into a burning inferno. So we have a lot of monsters that work together and will try and surround you, and they'll use synergies against you. My favorite monster in the game. Alright, I have two. So I have two favorite monsters in the game. The first is the Harvester. It's one of our brand new Daedra, and you'll be able to see it in the gameplay trailer that we released this week. But it's a multi-armed, kind of snake-like Daedra. What she does is she takes your essence, kind of splits it apart and sends it in different directions. You have to go around and either collect it, or if it manages to to go back to her, she absorbs it and gets a little bit of a heal, a little bit stronger, prolonging the fight. And inevitably, if you don't deal with these essences breaking apart, eventually you'll be defeated. My second favorite, maybe not second, maybe top tie for one, has to be the Mudcrab. The Mudcrab is an iconic monster that's been in every Elder Scrolls game, and they're super adorable in our game, but they put up as much of a fight as they can. It's not much of a fight, but it's enough of one. So all of Cyrodiil is our PvP area, and there's different keeps around the area which are guarded by NPCs of your faction. So for example, if you're part of the Daggerfall Alliance, or Daggerfall Covenant, and you have a keep that you've claimed for Daggerfall, you'll actually have Daggerfall guards surrounding it. Those guards can be fed and increase in power, or they can be starved out by enemy factions. But if you increase their power, they're able to use synergies to not only help themselves defend the keep, but help other Daggerfall players. So you might see an NPC guard rally all the troops together and either drop caltrops on the ground or purge all effects or things like that. So there are enemy NPC guards, as well as in the different surrounding areas. You can go explore caves. There's plenty of PvE things to do. You might find some hidden giant up on a mountaintop just sitting there minding his own business until you come up and start stabbing it. So there's plenty of monsters just roaming around, but there's also the guards, which actually will empower both other NPC guards as well as players.
Brian Wheeler, I'm the lead PvP designer for Elder Scrolls Online. The new features you'll see in Elder Scrolls Online is that it's 3 alliances as well as destructible keeps that pretty much blow up all over the place. You're not just dealing with a single bottleneck entry into a keep, or just, we only dictate that you can enter this keep from one direction. There's 18 keeps out there. There's lots of keeps which are owned by an alliance already. So there's a sense of ownership. It's not a matter of, well, I'll just take whatever's closest. I feel like the best example I can give you is like if I give you $1 and say that's your $1 and I have $1 and you take mine, well, I want to get it back. So it's not a matter of, well, it's a free-for-all. There's a sense of ownership that we're getting across in the game that we want all the alliances to feel like this is theirs and we want to take it from the enemy. So it's a good sense of alliance pride and ownership that we're instilling into PvP. The resource and the keep give and take that we're showing in terms of getting forth that alliance pride is the banners all change on the keep or the resource, the guards change. You'll recognize that Aldmeri guards wear yellow garb, the Daggerfall guards wear blue garb, and the Ebonheart guys wear red. Not only that, but the races are reflected in the resources and the keeps themselves. So when you walk into the area, it's not just one race is kind of taking over the keep. You get a sense of all 3 of your races within your alliance are taking over this keep for your alliance. So you feel like it's sort of like a second home out there, and you feel like it's at home because you see the banners that you're familiar with as you were leveling up in PvE, so it all looks familiar to you. The best race and the best class in PvP is very tricky to try to nail down because we have a very open class system as well as the races. You can kind of mix and match what race with which class with which weapon and armor. I've seen people out there with a sorcerer and light armor and a staff, the traditional magic user, kick the crap out of people who are hybridizing as well as the hybrid person like myself. I play a sorcerer with heavy armor and dual wielding with a bow on backup. So the mixes that you get out there are insane. It's like the combinations you can get from class and race and weapon and armor. It's really infinite, so trying to pick like which one's best is really hard to do. It's a lot of fun out there to mix and match it though. Well, what's new in Elder Scrolls PvP is simply the fact that it's massively huge. It takes place in Cyrodiil, which is apart from Oblivion. You'll recognize towns like Cheydinhal, Coral, Bruma, as well as some towns in the south that our game takes place about 700 years or so before Oblivion. So you're going to recognize the towns, and in these towns are PvE things for you to do. There's not just a PvP space, there's things to do for a PvEer. There are quests to do out there, there's public dungeons to go into. So it's not just a PvP environment, it's a PvE mixed with PvP. So it's the good analogy is like, I may go out there looking for somebody to kill, and if I can't find any action where there's a keep, I may go to a town and look for people doing quests. So it's not just, it's PvP centric. There's things to do everywhere in Cyrodiil for everybody. We're trying to make work 200 plus on the screen right now back at the studio. We've gotten that done and it looks really good. It's actually up on the video up there where you see everybody floating over the wall. And that's, not bots, not faked. We all did that really in-game. We're trying to make sure that the space itself of Cyrodiil can have thousands of players in there. So that one location you saw where 200 people were floating over the wall, that's just one keep. And then we're gonna have lots of keeps out there. So it's a matter of getting as many people out there that gives the best experience for PvP in one area as well as the whole space. Recently we got in leaderboards back at the studio. So we had a play test literally on Friday, this past Friday, where people saw where they were on a leaderboard per alliance. It was great where you could see who was the best overall alliance earner, who was the best person in Aldmeri, who was the best sorcerer. So there's a way to measure yourself against people of your own alliance as well as everybody together. So it's great bragging rights that you get out there, not just for running around and killing people, but knowing where you stand is awesome out there. And people were sending emails back and forth going, oh, I was #1 on the leaderboard, where were you? So the bragging rights are there in game, and it's awesome. The great thing about the PvP and the PvE gear as it is, you can use it interchangeably. Like if you are a raider or if you were doing like high-end PvE content, you can come right into PvP and your gear is going to be effective. You can go being a person in PvP all the time and you can earn some PvP gear and go right into a high-level dungeon too. So it's not like if you do one thing you're excluded from the other. You can do them both interchangeably, and we really think that that is what's going to make people feel together as one alliance, as opposed to, oh, you're that type of player or you're that type of player. Everybody kind of plays together, and that's one of the great things about the items in the game. It's going to be in spring 2014. We're going to be releasing on PC, Mac, Xbox One, and PS4.